YouTube is just out here in these streets humbling us. Just do what you have to do to get past the cringe. You start to feel like you're getting some momentum and you're like, it's all starting to click and it's all starting to make sense. And then a week later, you're like, what? Maybe this is where we're gonna start getting into my hot takes. I really think that. Hi everyone, we officially made it. I just passed my 6-month anniversary on YouTube and I wanted to do another little update on how things have been going. I have 6 lessons, hot takes, lukewarm takes, things that I've learned in the last 6 months. And then I will jump into my analytics and give a little update on how my dashboard is looking. We're gonna go inside my YouTube studio and actually take a look at the real numbers from my first 6 months. I'm hoping that this is motivation or commiseration for other small YouTubers who are also just getting their channels started, who have very small audiences. And so I just want to share real numbers, real stories about my first 6 months, how it's been, what I've struggled with, and what I've learned. So let's kick it off. This is not a hot take, but it is definitely a lesson. And I have seen this advice in some places, but I also feel like we get some mixed messages on this one. So number 1, make the easy video if that's what you need to do to keep publishing. In the first few months, it's so easy to quit. And I think you start to get in your head about creating quality content and creating better videos. And we all see that advice, improve your videos by 1% each time. My videos have not improved 1% each time. Sometimes I am making lower hanging fruit videos. Sometimes I'm making short videos. Sometimes I'm just turning a camera on and talking for 5 minutes because that's all I can do. But I also know that that's important to keep the momentum going. As soon as you let a couple weeks or a month or however long lapse without posting, it's so much easier to fall off. So if just turning on your phone camera, recording something outside, or just sitting on your couch is what you need to do to keep the ball rolling, I think that's totally fine. Like, yes, of course, in an ideal world, you want to be improving each time. Of course, you still want to be generally moving in the direction of making better content. Of course, I completely endorse all of that. And at the same time, that's not always realistic. Most early creators are doing this while working full-time jobs, while having very busy lives, and this is something they're doing on nights and weekends. And if just hitting record and posting something that's not very edited is what you need to do to keep going, then just do that. In the last couple months in particular, I had been dealing with some health issues, and there were a couple videos that I just was like, I've got nothing to give right now. And they didn't get a ton of views, and I was totally okay with that. I wasn't expecting them to get a ton of views. But for me, it's about flexing the muscle of content creation. Number 2, I think the snowball finally starts to roll a little bit after about 6 months. I really felt for the first 2 months like nothing was happening. Everything was just so stagnant. Everything was so slow. I would sometimes go days without getting a view. 1 view. Every view I got, I was like, oh my gosh, someone watched a video today. And I feel like it's only after the first 4, 5, 6 months that you finally start to feel a little bit of the momentum that everyone is talking about, where you kind of have views trickling in passively. You have views coming in on some of your older videos now. You actually have a little bit of a catalog of videos now. I'm sitting around 25 videos in my first 6 months, and definitely it's some of my older videos that still just consistently kind of pull in views. Maybe not every day, but even just views trickling in every couple days. And it's so nice to see that, because it finally starts to feel like your work is paying off. You're finally starting to hit that critical mass. The snowball is rolling down the hill, and it might still be really small, but at least it's rolling and it's starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. And that has just been generally great and motivating and encouraging to keep going, because I don't always have to be posting for something to happen. It's like now sometimes, a week or 2 will go by between videos and I'm still seeing views trickle in. So I will say, if you are still in those first few months and you really feel like nothing is happening, I can't stress this enough. Keep going, get your catalog of videos built up. Maybe do a few videos that are search optimized, that are things that people are going to be looking up, and those videos will continue to deliver just like steady, reliable views. And there are great resources, I'll link some in the description, but like Think Media especially comes to mind in terms of their approach of like ask specific questions. And that strategy that they have is really targeted to like figure out what people are looking up, make sure your titles are really optimized for the things that people look up. Like, is it a how to blank, blank, blank? And doing a little bit of keyword research and just doing that before you make a video, and get a few of those videos on your channel. And then those views just kind of slowly trickle in. I have a couple of videos on my channel like that right now, and it has been super encouraging to just still see results from those, even if I'm not actively creating or even if I haven't put out a video this week. I also think though, and maybe this is where we're gonna start getting into my hot takes, I really think that most YouTube content that is aimed towards small creators, you know, people who are doing 6-week or 10-week or 12-week challenges to monetize their channel, I don't want to get hate for this, but I think most of them are clickbait. And that's okay, you know, everyone is just out here trying to get their clicks and trying to get their views. And so it's no hate to any of these creators. I just don't think they are always a super honest representation of the monetization journey. Because what I've noticed in watching a lot of those videos in the last 3 months, videos that have titles like how I monetized my channel in just 10 weeks, is that they didn't actually monetize their channel in just 10 weeks. A lot of those creators, a lot of the time, started their channel in 2022 or 2023. And yeah, maybe they didn't take it super seriously for the first 6 months or the first year. They threw up a bunch of random videos and, you know, they didn't really have a strategy, but they were kind of posting sporadically and making videos about what they wanted. And then they came back to their channel later, did the challenge trying to get monetized quickly, or, you know, now setting a new goal for themselves saying, hey, I'm going to post every week. Then they start to get the traction. Then they get monetized in that time period. But most of these people are not starting from scratch. They're not starting from a brand new channel. And that's okay. But just to say, if you watch those videos and you're feeling defeated, like, there's no way I can monetize my channel in 10 weeks. No, because most people can't. And most of the videos that you're seeing, that's not usually what happens. Of course, there are a handful of creators where that's the exception. I can think of a couple where genuinely they posted one video and they had thousands of subscribers. It can happen. But for most people, when you see those, how I got monetized in 12 weeks, they often had that channel before and maybe they weren't taking it super seriously, yada, yada, yada. But it wasn't a 12-week journey. It was more like a year journey. And that's okay that they are making those videos, of course. But it just, I feel like it can be a little disheartening or misleading to people who are just looking at the titles, seeing the thumbnails and going, why can't I monetize my channel in 6 weeks? Because most people can't. And even the people making those videos often haven't. And you might say, well, yeah, sure, maybe they started and, you know, but maybe they only got like 80 subscribers when they were first doing it. And like they were really still starting from a very low number. And I don't care. I actually just don't think that that matters that much. I think having a channel at all, I think having any subscribers at all, you're already way ahead. The hardest part of YouTube was the first 2 months when you are trying to get 1 subscriber or 5 subscribers. And most of those creators have already done that hard part when they start their monetization challenge. And like, so they've already gotten months of that grind out of the way. To do that starting completely from zero on a new channel where YouTube has no idea what your content is, has no idea who to serve it to, is such a different ballgame. It just is. So I just don't think those videos are always completely fair or completely representative of the actual journey. And don't get me wrong, I understand why people make those videos and why they title them the way that they do. And it is click-worthy. I just don't think it's a completely fair representation. Yeah, it's not the same as starting from scratch. Okay, number 3. Just when you think you are starting to figure things out, you're starting to figure out the algorithm, you're starting to figure out what gets views, you're starting to figure out what your audience wants, YouTube will humble you. And I don't know, this could be due to many reasons. It could be just like summer, things slow down. It could be for so many reasons, honestly. And I'm not going to stress out trying to figure it out. But I feel like as soon as I have started to feel like, oh, hey, I'm getting the hang of this thing, or, oh, hey, that video did well, maybe I'll make another video like that. It hasn't really panned out, which is just like funny and kind of frustrating. I mean, I'm not too worried about it, but it is just like a funny observation I've had where every time I've started to feel like, oh, I have a good sense of like which videos are going to perform well. No, I don't. I still am like, I have a better idea than I did 6 months ago, but still at the end of the day, I'm throwing videos up and I'm like, I don't know. I think this will get a couple hundred views, and then maybe it gets way more, or maybe it gets way less. I don't know. Yeah, YouTube is just out here in these streets humbling us, and that's okay. That's part of the journey. But if you are feeling the same, where you start to feel like you're getting some momentum and you're like, it's all starting to click and it's all starting to make sense, and then a week later you're like, what? Why did that not do well? You're not alone. You are not alone. I feel that to my core. Number 4, if you are trying to get monetized, one of the requirements is going to feel like a grind, or maybe both. But I feel like in many people's experience, they either are doing really well on the subscriber front, or they're doing really well on the watch hour front, but not both. Never both, because of course, why would you have both at the same time? Why wouldn't one be a huge struggle? And it's hard because then it really starts to turn your head and you're not sure where to look. You're like, okay, my subscribers are doing great, but I'm not getting watch hours. Okay, so how do I get watch hours? And then you're trying to get more watch hours and then you're kind of neglecting your subscribers, and it's just like, I'd love to hear from people. If you found that both just grew at a pretty steady cadence, I would love to hear like your story and how that went. If you found that they were both just going up on a pretty steady trajectory, awesome. That's incredible for you. I love that. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, just because my experience has been that I have a lot of watch hours. I do not have a lot of subscribers. And it has been weighing on me. Like, I have been thinking about how to improve that. And some of that is why I've leaned more into doing like some shorts, and also just like shorts were interesting to me and it was a content format that I already wanted to explore and try out. But also I had heard that, you know, it's easier to get subscribers from shorts. So I was like, okay, like let's experiment with this and let's give this a try. And yes, definitely. Like a couple of shorts have been a reason why I've had a big influx of subscribers when I otherwise would have hit like a plateau. Either way, I think you're going to struggle to get one. You're going to struggle to get your watch hours, or you're going to struggle to get your subscribers, or maybe both, or maybe you're doing great on both. I don't know. But I feel like for me and for so many other people I've seen online and in comments, it's just a grind to get one or the other. And it's different. It seems to be like pretty split. Some people find it so easy to get all their watch hours. They get their watch hours super quick, but then they're stuck at like 400 subscribers. Other people, they, you know, are well past 1,000 subscribers, but they just don't have the watch time. And either way, it's frustrating. Either way, you feel like, how do I get more of this other thing? That being said, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I think there are things you can do, like to pivot your strategy to focus more on one or the other, like doing shorts if you need to get subscribers, or doing things for watch time, like having longer videos or live streaming or doing things like that. So there are ways that you can solve for each of those problems. It's just, yeah, it is a struggle. And I do find that it is something that starts to like work its way into your head and you start thinking about it more. And it does start to, I think, infiltrate your strategy a little bit. Number 5, you will still make yourself cringe. Maybe even more than you did at the beginning. Honestly, I feel that a little bit more now, because at least in the beginning, you don't know anything at all. And it's very much like the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and you're just so ignorant to what a good video is. And so you make your first video and you're like, yeah, that was fine. That was pretty good. Once you've been doing this for a few months, you actually do start to have a better idea of what a good video is. But that doesn't mean that you are able to execute that. And it's funny because YouTube feels like every other skill I've ever learned. It's, you know, I am an artist, I play guitar. In learning all of these things, it's so frustrating at times, because with artwork, for instance, it's like I can picture things in my head and I know exactly what I want to create. but I don't know how. I don't know how to realize it in real life. I don't know how to make my paintbrush do the things that I want it to do. And YouTube is kind of like that. I feel like I know what makes a good video. I feel like I can picture in my head the kinds of videos I want to make. That doesn't mean that I can actually do it. That doesn't mean that my filming skills and my editing skills and my storytelling skills are up to snuff to be able to execute on that. You know, it's at this point, I'm delusional. I'm delusional. I have my brilliant ideas, but then I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So now you're in an uncomfy place where like you do sort of know what you don't know, and you know enough to be like, oh yeah, this video is not very good. It's not very good. So that's a bit of a struggle. So anyway, you will continue to make yourself cringe. That's okay. I feel like that's probably pretty normal too. I'm just leaning into it. I don't really care about being cringy. It is what it is. I post and then I try to forget. I post and then I don't look at my computer for 48 hours, you know? Just do what you have to do to get past the cringe. Nobody really cares that much about what you're doing. Everyone is so fixated on their own lives. So just like, don't worry about it too much. And then finally, lesson number 6. And this one is, again, kind of a hot take. I think the advice we see around like batching videos, I think this advice is bananas. It never really made sense to me when I was starting, and it makes even less sense to me now. Because going back to my first point around like make the easy video if that's what you need to do to keep publishing, it's so hard to just keep hitting record and putting out videos because it's super easy to quit. It's super easy to stop doing this thing that no one is requiring you to do and you don't have to do at all. And so for those of you who aren't familiar, the concept of batching videos is like you, instead of making one video at a time, you basically would write a bunch of scripts. You would write 3 or 4 scripts for 3 or 4 different video ideas. You would sit down and record them all, like probably at once, like just do it all in one sitting, record 3 videos back to back, let's say. And then you would sit down and you would edit all of those videos. And then you would make thumbnails for all of those videos. So you're doing it in batches rather than having to like make one video where you write one script and then you film it and then you edit it and then you make the thumbnail and then you publish it. And I totally get the recommendation. Like it makes so much sense. But for beginners, if you can do this, like by all means, like I need your secrets. Like, please tell me what you're doing, what coffee you're drinking, like, because that seems unfathomable to me. I can barely sit down and do one video every week or 2. That feels so overwhelming. And I think there's a bunch of other downsides to it as well that I'll get into in a second. But particularly the advice around like when you first start a channel, advice often is like put, 3 videos or 5 videos on your channel at the start, like all at once, just upload like 5 videos to start. It's like, do you know how much work that is for a beginner to make 5 videos? That's so much work. Like I probably never would have started if I thought that that was the bar I had to clear. I put up 2 and they were both just very sit down, talking head, like no editing videos. And that was like what I could muster up. If I had to produce more than that, I might have honestly like never started posting. I just don't think there's that much advantage to it. People are like, yeah, put 5 videos up so that if people, stumble on your channel, you actually already have content there and then they're maybe more likely to subscribe. And it's like, I guess so, but what do we always hear? Your early videos are gonna suck. No one's gonna see them anyway. So like beating yourself up trying to make 5 videos seems kind of like overkill when the reality is like probably no one's gonna watch them anyway. And probably so few people are gonna stumble onto your channel in those early days when you only have a video or 2, that it doesn't really matter. Like maybe it helps move the needle a little bit. And maybe if you're doing this for a second channel or a third channel, if you're an experienced YouTuber, if you're starting a new YouTube channel as a business, okay, fine. I can see that. But if you're just doing this for fun or as a passion project, it seems like a really tall order to start a channel with that many videos. And then I think there's also the downside that it sort of flies in the face of much of the advice that we're given, which is, try to get 1% better each time, slowly improve, one thing with each video. That's the thing. You don't know until you publish a video what works or what doesn't work. You kind of have to get the video out there in the world in order to see how people respond to it and is it getting any views? And then if it's not getting any views, you can be like, why? I wonder why that is. And like, oh, where did people drop off? Or am I just not getting impressions? Or is my click-through rate really bad? Like, you can start to tease it apart. But unfortunately, you have to publish it in order to get all of that feedback. So if you're batching videos, you could potentially be making 5 videos at once that are like not very good because you're still a beginner and you don't know what you're doing and you haven't gotten any feedback on those earlier videos. Whereas if you're making them one at a time, you know, you can make one video, publish it. Okay, see what happens. Be like, that didn't really work very well. Maybe on the next one I can try this instead. But if you're batching, you lose all of that. If you're batching, you've already pre-written all of those scripts. You've already recorded all of it. So like your opportunity for learning gets really limited, in my opinion. And the goal in the early days should be just to focus on learning and improving, seeing what lands, seeing what doesn't. And batching really like takes that away from you. Again, if you are more seasoned, if you are way further down in your journey, if you are doing this as a business, if you are someone who already has a successful first channel and you're doing a second channel, yeah, if I were doing that and I were at a point where I was more seasoned and more experienced, I would probably be really strategic about my second channel. I probably would be pre-writing lots of scripts and trying to batch content and things like that. But for right now, like, I'm just still a brand new little YouTube baby, and I don't know enough to do that. And I just don't have the resources. Like, it is still such an uphill battle to sit down and record. It's still such an uphill battle to sit down and edit. So like batching it all like that just seems super overwhelming to me. And maybe this is like an ADHD thing too, where I just like right now, I have like 5 half edited videos. I'm really bad at finishing things. It's a problem, but you know, this is how we do it here. Things are a little bit all over the place and I just kind of have to lean into what works for me. That just means there's gonna be a little chaos in the whole process. So batching just seems, I mean, very aspirational. Maybe I'll get there one day, but for now, I'm not. And I really kind of think that that advice is like way overrated for beginner YouTubers. So if you're not batching, like, don't feel bad about it. Like, I completely get that. And I honestly think that it's actually advantageous in some ways to not batch as a beginner. That said, if you are doing it successfully, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me how that's going for you and tell me how you are doing this, because I don't understand. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So with that out of the way, we are going to do a quick little dive into my analytics. I'm going to show you my YouTube studio and show you the real numbers from the first 6 months and how I have actually done so far in terms of subscribers, views, watch time, all of the things. Okay, so here we are in my YouTube studio. I have actually set the dates to be like for the exact 6-month window from when I first published my initial video, which was on February 9th to August 9th. So an exact 6 months. I'm filming this a couple days later, so just want this to be completely accurate. So here is where we landed. The channel has just over 35,000 views. That's kind of wild. That's really fun to think about. Watch time is about 2,300 hours, although I will say that includes short watch time, which is really annoying. So I will show you in a minute what the actual real watch time is on another part of the dashboard. And then I gained 307 subscribers. So again, this is a little higher because I've picked up a few subscribers in the last couple days, but 307 subscribers is where I was sitting at the exact 6-month mark. As you can see over here, I'm kind of steadily getting views like I talked about, not a ton, but just views trickling in, you know, semi-regularly, getting a couple every hour, that sort of thing. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the actual real watch time from my long form content, because that is the kind that matters. And so that is an annoying thing with YouTube, that on that dashboard, it includes both shorts and long form all in one place, which like is not ideal. I feel like they should fix that somehow, but at least you can come into this part of the dashboard, and what you're looking for is to go into content type. And then down here, it will actually break down how many of those views were from shorts versus long form. So even that is like really helpful, because like, yes, it's 35,000 views ish, overall, but like only 15,000 of those are from long form. The other 21,000 have come from my shorts. I did have a couple shorts that not blew up, but got, you know, like a few thousand views. And then you can see the actual breakdown of the watch time. So I am sitting at exactly 2,100 watch time hours, public watch time hours. So those are the hours that count towards the 4,000 hours towards your monetization goal in a 12-month period. Also interesting too that you can take a quick peek at like the average view duration. You can see that my average view duration for my long form in this time period has been 8 minutes and 41 seconds. I'm really proud of that. I think that's great. Again, I've been thinking a lot about how to increase that retention and that average view duration to get people sticking around longer. So I'm super proud of that. And that's something that I want to continue focusing on and leaning into, because it's a really good way to get your watch time up. It's just a really good way of getting more hours is if people stick around for 8 minutes instead of 2 minutes. So super proud of that. And yeah, definitely something that's going to continue to be a focus for me. I'm also like pretty happy with that for my shorts duration, just because my shorts are long, like they're almost all exactly a minute. So having people stick around for 40 seconds, I think is like pretty good. Okay, what else did I want to show? I can just go through content really quick and kind of show what I've been doing for the last little while. Yeah, May 9th would have been the 3-month period. So these are all the videos that I put out after that. That's right, like I remember putting out this video right before I did my 3-month update, just ranting about the cost of living crisis. So go check that out if you want. If you're really feeling like life is so stupidly expensive and the economy doesn't make sense and you just want to watch me talk about that for 20 minutes, go watch. So then I did a whole handful of videos where I did a video about the UX bootcamp I did, because I do like to talk about like money and career on this channel. And so I thought that was like a good video. I didn't think it would get a ton of views and it didn't, but it was like a video I was excited to make, and I want to start leaning more into talking about my career in tech and how I made the career pivot specifically, because like I was not a tech worker a couple years ago. I always worked in like underpaid jobs. Like I was a teacher and then I was like a researcher for nonprofits. And so like I want to talk more and more about kind of my transition into tech and how I did that. And so I put that out, then did my 3-month update soon after that. Did like just a big kind of like spring cleaning vlog. That one was super fun to film. Editing it was bananas. It's like so much like new respect to vloggers, because I swear when I'm making those videos, I'm like importing hundreds of files, like hundreds of video files, it's chaos. So much respect to vloggers. But that video did quite well. And it also just like got me a bunch of watch time, because again, it was long. It was like a long video. It was like an hour plus, and people, you know, kind of stuck around on it for like, yeah, almost 10 minutes. So like it's almost gotten me almost 100 hours of watch time just from that one video. And then these are kind of like what I mean when I say doing like more low effort videos. Again, I did things that I didn't think would get a ton of views, but like they were fun. I wanted to talk about them, so I just kind of made them. I put them out, and hey, it's still great experience. I still, you know, get all the experience of like making the thumbnails and practicing and getting better at everything. So I did one about an upcoming trip to New York, and you know, sort of like unboxing my new passport wallet. So that was just like a super fun sit down one to make. Then I did a what I spend in a week video. That one was also really fun. Again, like I love watching like spending diaries, money diaries, anything like that. So that one was super fun to do. And I want to do more content like that in the future. And it did pretty well. Like we're sitting at like 400 plus views right now. And like not a ton of watch time, but pretty good. I actually haven't, this is funny. Like I haven't even personally looked at the analytics for a lot of these. So I'm seeing this for the first time. Okay, average view duration, 4 minutes. Again, I think that's like pretty good for a sit down talking head video. It's hard to keep people on those. It just is, you know? And then again, just talking about making the easy videos. I just did like a little life updates one because I was sick for a while. And so I wanted to just do a quick video to be like, hey, here's an update and here's the kind of stuff I'm gonna be making coming up soon. And then I made a video about how I got completely debt free. That was super fun. oh my gosh, what a feeling. I hadn't been debt-free in quite some time. So that was an amazing milestone just personally, and I was really excited to share it. And then I did another declutter video. So that's the long form I've put out in the last few months. I also did put out a handful of shorts. Again, these have just been more of an experiment, and they're like super fun and easy and quick to do. So it's kind of like, why not? And sometimes I try to use them to drive like views to my long form. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about shorts. Sometimes I am doing like standalone stuff, but sometimes I'm just like, hey, I talked about this thing in my long video, go watch it. And then you can add it as a related video on the short. So I haven't seen a ton of success with that yet, but I'm also like, I'm not working on it that hard. Like shorts is just like not really what I want my focus to be. I chose YouTube because I want to do long form content, but it's still been a good experiment and has definitely brought in a bunch of subscribers. So as you can see, yeah, like this one short got me 28 subscribers. I'm trying to think my other big one. Yeah, like 40 subscribers. Which like, I don't think I've gotten that from like any of my, or maybe one of my long forms. I got those kinds of numbers, but most of my long form videos, I'm getting like 4 subscribers, 5 subscribers. It's usually in those numbers. So to get an influx of subs like this is like really encouraging. But yeah, I will say I've only really seen success with it when the shorts have blown up a little bit more. Like my smaller ones, I don't think I've really seen any subs from them. Yeah, like this got 1,200 views and 0 subs. So like I only really started noticing a positive impact when I had shorts go over like 5,000 views. And I think like sometimes it does better with like, yeah, like this one got fewer views and it got 2 subs. So like, it's still, I mean, it's still great. But just like, the shorts probably need to be hitting some numbers before you're actually seeing like meaningful gains in subscribers, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, so let's go into the earn tab really quick and just take a look at how that is progressing, moving along nicely towards this first tier of monetization. So that's pretty fun to see these start to actually fill up, and we're getting closer and creeping towards that 500 subs and 3,000 watch time hours steadily. Obviously it's a ways to go for the full AdSense monetization criteria. But again, I'm not too worried about it. I didn't really create this channel like with the goal of making money. That hasn't really been my priority. So it's just like, it's more like a fun challenge. I'm thinking of it more as like I'm gamifying it and it's just like a fun progress tracker, but it's not really my objective. It hasn't been like a primary goal. I think it's one of those things where it's like, of course it would always be great if one day you can make like a few cents off of something that you put a lot of time into, but it certainly hasn't been like the main motivation for this. So more like it's fun to watch, but not, I don't really feel any type of way about it. So how have the last 3 months been, like looking back to where I was compared to the 3-month mark? So in the last 3 months, I've gained about an additional 500 to 600 watch time hours, somewhere in that ballpark. I was sitting around 1,500 watch time hours back in May, and now I'm sitting at 2,100. I was sitting at 190 subscribers back in May, and now I am sitting at 307. If we're doing the official 6-month period, it was 307. So it hasn't been gangbusters for the last like 3 months, but things have been ticking up. Things have still been on a steady upward trajectory. I'm really happy with that. Again, I just kind of want to see that things are moving generally in the right direction. I'm not too concerned with like the pace or how quickly it's all moving. I want to be making the stuff that I want to make and like having the community that I want to have. So that's kind of like what is most important to me. Okay, so we did it. 6 months. That is the 6-month update. Feelings about it. Honestly, I'm really happy. I'm really proud of myself. I think 300 plus subscribers and 2,000 plus watch time hours in 6 months is great. I think it's fantastic. It's certainly exceeded any expectations I've had. So that's super encouraging and just makes me want to continue. And Again, I don't expect like any one video to blow up and like change everything overnight. I'm happy with it just kind of being like a steady upward trajectory and kind of growing and improving with each video. So that is the goal. I will do another follow-up soon and maybe do like a couple shorts and just like other random updates. In the meantime, like if I hit 500 subscribers, I might do a little video about that. So stick around and subscribe if you want to see more content about being a baby YouTuber and the early growth journey. And also, if you like talking about money and finances and life, then I do a lot of that around here too. So subscribe and stick around, and I hope to see you on the next one.